Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Hi.
This DCOM was...
Fast as lightning.
Didn't feel it that way, though. That's right. Welcome back to a whole new pod. The podcast all about feeling that 90 minutes is the longest length of time in the world. I am one of your hosts, Lucas Melby.
And I am Yakub Telejohn.
And we're all about those DCOMs. We're watching them all in chronological order.
Yes.
And we got to one today. We're getting right into it. Nothing to fucking beat around the bush about this time. No hits, kicks about it. This is Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior. So I think this was like, I don't know, this one was kind of in my awareness before doing this podcast, but kind of seemed to just exist in the referential space of my mind of, you know, you make jokes about Dunstan Checks In, but you never actually watch Dunstan Checks In, right?
We make jokes about
Wendy Wu. We do that, though. I am always strict about, like, hey, if I'm going to ask questions about Air Bud Spikes Back, I have to watch all of Air Bud Spikes Back.
Naturally.
I have to watch all of Karate Dog. And we watched all of Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior.
And we enjoyed it, I think.
Well, we got some stuff to do here. I don't know why I'm feeling a little loosey-goosey right now. It's a Friday night. I'm a little hungry. I've had too much caffeine. It's the end of the week, and let's talk about DCOMs.
Let's get into it.
The movie starts out in a way that's not dissimilar to how this podcast starts, where they're like, what are we about to get into? Because the font choice for the title of Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior is very, like, unassuming, and is positioned like lower bottom left or like right in the frame over this picture of a robed Chinese warrior looking person who vaguely looks like Brenda Song, star of the movie, Wendy Wu. I kind of maybe had that reversed. Wendy Wu is the character, Brenda Song is the actress, if that's not abundantly clear. It should be at this point because this is like her third DCOM.
We've mentioned Brenda Song before.
Wonderful person, I think.
A great gal, you know.
I learned, poking around on Wikipedia for this movie, that I guess girlfriend or partner of Macaulay Culkin.
Oh.
I have Jacob sit up. What?
Oh.
Who?
Macaulay Culkin. Isn't he on the new series of American Horror Story?
Oh, really?
I think so.
That's kind of wild. I mean, he wasn't The Good Son. Another movie that I had somebody recently talking to me about that. It's like, oh, you probably wouldn't know this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Macaulay Culkin, and he was like evil. I'm like, oh, The Good Son. Yes, I have seen The Good Son.
Too big of a deep cut for Lucas.
Yeah, I'm such a cinephile. I gotta watch, you know, the one he gets killed by bees in. I gotta watch The Good Son. I haven't actually watched the one he gets killed by bees in.
Bees?
It had to be bees.
Bees.
Is that what he says? All right, Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior. We're getting this picture. Kind of looks like her. It's on like a scroll. Okay, not the best intro. And then we have what best looks like just a JPEG of a map that says Asia on it. And then they just hard zoom in, try to make it seem kind of like, I don't know, a satellite footage or Google Maps footage or something. Yeah. Maybe MapQuest would be more accurate for 2006. It looks like trash. But then we're zooming down into somewhere in China. It doesn't actually say that, but it should have a title card of somewhere in China.
Into the mountain range, and
we're at a Buddhist temple, and we're seeing one of our main characters. We don't know his name yet, but I'll tell you. His name is Shen or Shin. They kind of say it both ways.
Giacari?
I do not believe he has a last name. I could be wrong.
Just Shin.
And he's at this temple. He's the only one with hair, though. He's got some nice locks, got a bit of a ponytail going on. And he is dishing out some moves, fighting with all the monks there. But it's like a cool fight. They're testing him, kind of.
He's running
which is why
water.
Some of his punches and kicks do not look like they're even close to connecting with any of them. Shen is, I guess I don't really know his background, but he is a very, maybe it's too much for me to say. He seems like an accomplished martial artist. He is one of the better parts of this movie.
Yes, he's skilled. Like you mean like his actual ability?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Yes, within the context of the movie, he is good at he's good at kung fu or whatever. But
in actuality, also, yes.
I don't think it's really too high of praise, but best DCOM fight choreography thus far. I don't think we've ever really had.
Oh yeah, like we'll talk about his scene eventually.
Best choreography is between High School Musical and Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior right now. That's about the strongest that is being brought.
No, there are definitely like some really good scenes.
So his practice fight or test kind of finishes, and then we see who can only presumably be the head monk because he's got different robes and he looks extra old and bald.
Yes, he looks like the Dalai Lama.
Sure. I mean, the Dalai Lama is within a sect of Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, which probably China, I mean, a lot of tensions there between China as a country and just Buddhism in general, I think.
Oh.
Do you not know about Free Tibet, Jacob?
The hashtag sounds familiar. There's a lot of hashtags.
It's been a thing long before hashtags. Jacob's like, let me tell you about Coney 2012, though. I know all about
let's
that.
Go. Take me back.
So the head monk, he's given some cryptic talk to Shen. He says, "It is time. The evil Yan Lo has awakened. You must go out on your quest." And another monk exposes a scroll. Before we saw a drawing, looked kind of like Brenda Song. The scroll drawing is literally like Brenda Song.
It's her.
Traced photograph of her.
It's her, but it's not her. It's the what was her?
It's like Napoleon Dynamite drew it. Yes. No, it's better than that. But then we fade off of the scroll into her drawing, which looks closer to something Napoleon Dynamite might have done.
Yes.
And it is her drawing herself during class. She's zoning out, drawing a tiara on her head that says Wendy. Wendy,
foreshadowing to,
we'll learn the only thing she's apparently ever wanted in her life is to become the homecoming queen.
Yes.
You know, something girls always dream about, right? Just specifically homecoming. You know, you're a kid. People talk about girls always dream about their wedding or something. No, Wendy knew about the existence of homecoming specifically, and that's what she aspired to the most. She didn't want to be a girl boss. She wanted to be
the homecoming.
She wanted to be the Yas queen.
Yas queen.
So she gets in trouble with her teacher for zoning out, and then she gets asked about like, hey, what are these mountains in China?
Rings.
Which seemed like could have been a racist call out. Be like, hey, Brenda Song, should you know about China? But it was actually just, I think, supposed to be more that she's a bad student, specifically in this class, and isn't paying close enough attention. The bell luckily rings right when she doesn't know the answer. And
that happens so often in Disney movies.
Just in movies.
Yes.
There's literally a television show called Saved by the Bell for a racist.
That's true.
Outside of the class, we're establishing her and her friends who are, let's see, Lisa and Tori, I believe. I had to IMDb those names. They're present characters, but they're not really impactful ones. Especially in these early scenes, it seems to be lots of quote-unquote girl troubles. One of them's crying about her boyfriend. The other's talking about how great Brenda Song's boyfriend is, Austin, who's this tall, blonde dork. I mean, he's not actually a dork. He's supposed to be really cool, but he kind of is like a Ryan Lochte kind of person where he's this like hot guy who's really dumb and kind of self-absorbed. So we're meeting them. They're at lunch. They're discussing homecoming coming up, and we're introduced to the rival of Wendy, Jessica, who is handing out cookies to campaign to be homecoming.
And queen. Her poster is everywhere. It's on lockers. She probably has a shirt with her own face on it. She's really campaigning, and Wendy hardly any effort during this homecoming
she's just
campaign.
like, I'm gonna get it, and then she's like, what? How dare Jessica? She's always trying to get what I want. And then we see her handing a cookie to Peter, Wendy's brother.
Yes.
Wendy freaks out and
lipstick.
She grabs some lipstick and throws it like a shuriken or something.
Star or
that's what a ninja star is called.
I ninja star, yes. You use a term that people are gonna know.
People know what a shuriken is.
I don't know what that word is.
And it breaks the cookie in half. Yes. Leaves no lipstick mark on it though. But Wendy's kind of like, what is this power? She's a little shocked.
6 skills.
So is Peter, because he just had his cookie broken in half, but he eats it anyway. Peter's a very interesting
he's a goofy
character
lad.
Because you know, there's lots of, I think, talk recently sometimes about like the pressure Asian Americans feel because they're looked at as like the model minority. So there's stereotypes about them that are arguably positive, but there's still stereotypes about like, you're good workers, you're really smart, you're good at science, you're good at math. Peter, though, he kind of turns that on its head. He's a football jock. He's got some weird hair. He wears some polo shirts, doesn't quite pop the collars, but he's like
He's an airhead.
He's kind of like the boyfriend character, but just in brother form.
Yes.
So a lot going on, as you might be picking up, that we went from Chinese monk introduction of magic
hidden
quest
skills
to establishing lots of characters and conflicts and backstories and Peter.
Yes.
Then Austin also gets a cookie from Jessica. So it's already kind of showing that like Austin's not fully dialed in to care about everything that Wendy is really worried about.
No, and I'm glad the boyfriend doesn't like he's kind of on screen a bit, but he doesn't really play like a huge role, and I kind of appreciate that.
He's like a lot of DCOM characters where remember he's in the movie and then there's a little bit of drama forced with him and then he's kind of out of there.
Yeah, irrelevant.
We also established that the mom works at the local museum and they've just received a shipment of 6 or 8 of the famous terracotta soldiers from wherever that is in China. I think emperor who was buried with thousands of troops made like that. Wendy's talking about homecoming. She almost knocks over a Ming vase, but she uses her subconscious kung fu skills to kick a box over. We'll see later on that a lot of these boxes seem to be filled with explosives or fireworks.
So where's the big explosion?
But a good thing
here?
that the box did not explode here.
Lucky.
Then we just cut to Shen. He is now, he was supposed to go to, I think, Fairview, California.
He's
just
scroll.
there.
Yeah, he's a scroll with a picture of the freaking house on it.
Well, at first he's just walking on the street.
Oh, yes.
He's walking on like a highway trying to maybe hitchhike or something.
He's hitchhiking.
Nobody's picking him up. And then he...
Speed runs? Naruto
we see
runs?
him like run quick for about a millisecond, and then it just cuts to him on top of a van. It's a really awkward kind of setup for that.
He's just sitting on there, crisscross applesauce.
And then he gets hit by a bug on his forehead or something.
That was weird.
But then it cuts to Wendy at home where she's gotten chocolate on her forehead.
Yeah.
Because she got the idea to make cupcakes for her homecoming campaign.
From mom, right?
She got it because her mom says, you need to feed your dog Cupcake. You need to take responsibility. And then Wendy...
Jessica cookies, Wendy's cupcakes.
Well, being self-absorbed, she doesn't pick up on her mom saying, hey, you're not feeding your dog Cupcake. She just goes, I should make cupcakes.
Yeah, you're right.
Cupcake is a very tragic character in this movie.
Oh my God.
So they're making cupcakes. We meet Grandma as well as Dad. Grandma she lives with the family in a very
older, but not an old.
She's a traditional Chinese person. Presumably she's from China originally and immigrated
she speaks
there.
Chinese.
Whereas Wendy's parents are maybe first generation Chinese immigrants.
Yes.
So that is not super like earned theme of the movie, but a lot of about identity and connection to your family's heritage. As we do get in some of the DCOMs where Disney Channel tries to entertain the idea of diversity.
I think, was it just her and Shen that spoke Chinese? I don't think the parents did.
I don't even think the monks in China did.
No. But they do have a conversation eventually.
Cut back to the museum where the security guard gets a mysterious delivery that is this. It's not even like in a shipping crate or anything. It's just literally this Chinese box.
Yeah, that was weird.
I think we see it like glow green or something. There's an
it,
orb inside of it.
Yes.
And then back at the home, this is where Jacob was saying Shen pops up. How would he know where he's supposed to go?
He pulls out the scroll. So we saw the scroll earlier with Wendy on it, which looks exactly like her. There's
some amazing artist at the monastery there where he gets photorealistic scroll drawings.
It was exactly the image of the house. So they have a scroll and then he lowers it and it's the exact house.
Which is how...
That was pretty funny.
How do they get that? I mean, are we supposed to take it? Is it magic that they have this vision? Man. Or do they have somebody in America that did this drawing
scouting.
And then went back and says why didn't he just stay there to take care of it? It's goofy, obviously. The movie's not taking itself very seriously at all. Wendy is trying to clean up after she's made a huge mess with her cupcakes because...
Oh, she's a messy girl.
Everybody in DCOMs are messy when they cook.
It's true.
And then she gets a knock at the door. Oh, who is it? It's mysterious Shen.
Ooh.
And he says like something about like, hey, you need to wear this amulet. Evil's coming for you. And she says,
True.
See ya. Closes the door, but he quickly gets inside the house.
We see him do that a lot. Like you said, to get on top of that vehicle and to get in the house. He does like these quick little Naruto runs. That's what I'm calling them.
Yeah, you're telling me I don't know what a shuriken is, but here I'm going to reference Naruto.
Nuerto.
So they have like a little mini fight sequence. It's mostly Shen doing the heavy lifting of like doing a bunch of flips. And then I think she like, I don't really know how it ends, but he gets knocked out of the house again, I think. And part of what he said in his like opening thing is like, you're a reincarnated Chinese warrior. And she's like, you're crazy. Then cutting back a lot between the museum and the house. At the museum,
he starts to see like a glow. Or no. This is when the pizza shows up, right?
So he first sees the glow. Okay. So then he goes and investigates it.
Yes, the glow
with pepper spray. And then there's this ghost coming out of the box that got delivered. Yes. He comically sprays it with a pepper spray, which does seem to affect somewhat the ghostly's waft or whatever in the air. But then it possesses him.
Through the eyes.
We can see that because then his eyes
turn green.
They flash green momentarily.
Green.
He's walking towards the door, and then we see Peter, who is Wendy's sister. Wendy's brother.
So when he gets possessed, too, it's like he loses the ability, or like whatever body he possesses, they don't speak. It's kind of like a zombie kind of thing. They can't communicate.
Until it does, because at the end, he does speak through the body he's in.
As him.
I guess that is true.
Yeah.
There's kind of some inconsistencies with body possession in this movie.
Yes.
The security guard's going to leave, but then there's a pizza delivery, and it's Peter, Wendy's brother. I think the security guard he picks up like a picture of Wendy and her mom.
He shows it to him.
And Peter's such an idiot. He's
That's my mom's photo.
Oh, Wendy? You know her. She's my sister.
And then
he possesses Peter.
Drop the picture breaks. He gets his pizza, though.
Yeah, the security guard probably got that pizza for free unless he dialed in his credit card number ahead of time.
Because Peter then leaves, and
the security guard's just like, I guess I blacked out, but pizza. Oh, he doesn't even wait to sit down. He's already opening the box to chow down.
He's crunching.
And we'll see him again.
So apparently
Peter is possessed.
Possessed man knows how to drive.
You can maybe do some mental gymnastics of he accesses all the memory of the people he possesses, but then doesn't remember through the security guard's memory who Wendy is.
Yeah.
So, who cares? I know Kung Fu. That's a Matrix reference. So Jessica, Wendy's rival, Wendy's watching the news, and then Jessica, I guess, is the guest weather person.
Yeah.
And at the end of her spiel, she says, and vote for me for homecoming queen because I'm going to have cupcakes the next day. And Wendy's like, that bitch, she always stealing my shit. But then Shen is just inside of her house. There's lots of B&E in this where he just is like, I think he kind of like Crouching Tiger or Hidden Dragons.
To get up into her bedroom.
Yeah.
Well, because he puts on the amulet, right?
Well, he's still trying to put the amulet on her. I don't know.
The amulet comes off her neck and on her neck so many times. It's on and off, on and off.
Wendy falls asleep on the couch, so then he Crouching Tigers, Hidden Dragons.
Yes.
Oh, so actually, what happens is he's outside just like meditating outside of their house. He sees Peter come home. He's like, is this guy possessed by Yan Lo, maybe? So then that's when he Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons floats in the air into the house.
Yeah.
And then we have the best scene in the
whole movie. Oh, we thought this was like a blessing of things to come.
Where possessed Peter, Black Peter. Fucking Black Peter, that damn goat.
God.
He's holding this orb over Wendy to do, we don't really know what. It's possible there was a scene that I wasn't paying close enough attention to, or they lay out what Yan Lo is trying to do.
Yeah.
But the stakes aren't quite there, except for that it's possible that, I don't know, the world will end if something doesn't happen, or if he takes over Wendy's body. I don't know.
Probably.
Which, is he trying to take over her body or just use the orb to kill her? Because when he transfers bodies between other people, he doesn't need to use the orb.
See, that was a weird part. That never really got established. If we did, we both missed it, which we usually don't.
Rarely that we both would miss it.
Yes.
Jacob playing fucking like League of Legends on his laptop watching the movie. Still would catch something I missed.
Like something last episode, didn't I mention something? Did you ever go back and look at it?
I didn't go back and check that one.
Bastard.
I don't even remember what it was, but I just wanted to know I was right and do no fact checking. All right, I actually kind of remember what it was. But so yes, Peter gets interrupted as he's trying to possess or do something to Wendy with that orb. Shen comes in, kicks the orb away, and then they just have this, I think it was at least like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, it was
fight
long,
scene.
and I'm glad it was, because it was enjoyable to watch. It was fun.
Yeah, no, it was really nicely choreographed. We already had kind of like the crouching tiger, hidden dragon for him to get inside the house, but it was very clear that there was wire work going on here.
It was good.
Wendy's house is pretty spacious inside that allows a lot of fights within this atrium where they're jumping up onto the stair balcony. They're doing lots of, even like a little Jackie Chan stuff where Wendy's sleeping, so they're trying not to wake her up. So then they're like shoving over like the cupcake tray and catching that and
like pushing the chairs under the table, and like they get like thrown back, but like it's all quiet this whole time. She, like you said,
some of it's
sleeping.
Maybe a little unbelievably quiet, but it's because there's a fine coating of dust everywhere in the house.
There's always dust. Like in every fight scene, there's always dust.
And that was a weird thing because it's definitely intentional. It's not
100%.
Just coincidental that they just filmed in dusty places
everywhere.
And it's definitely something that happens in kung fu movies, but at least my perception is those are always just in dirty places or outside, and that's why there's dust there, not inside this nice California home. But whatever, it was an awesome scene, and unfortunately this movie peaked way too early with this scene, and nothing really quite matches this level of excitement. And just like this was like I feel like we're maybe not quite selling it enough, but like I enjoy lots of action movies. I enjoy Asian action movies. Like this isn't the greatest fight scene, but like this elevates beyond, like it doesn't make sense why this is happening in a Disney Channel
movie.
Original movie.
It was better than a DCOM. Fight was
better than it had any right to be. And we get some scenes later on that are a little more like, oh yeah, that makes more sense for
how it should be, but
the scale of this project.
That was it was good.
Best we get, and we don't get another one for like 40 minutes.
No, that was the bummer.
So it eventually ends where, like the orb goes into a fish tank when it gets kicked out of Peter's hands,
and then it stops being lit up.
But then Peter retrieves it after he throws 2 goldfish from the fish tank that Shen has to save.
He catches the Play-Doh fish with his hands. He does like a weird backflip, and then he saves the fish. The fish do not die. He drops them, and we see him swimming back in the tank.
Yeah, and then I think he just kicks Peter again, and then he holds out the amulet.
Yes.
And it isn't clear if that's... I think it is causing Yan Lo through Peter to be like, I need to stop. But then he immediately transfers bodies over to Wendy's dog, Cupcake.
Which takes off.
Which Shen does not realize that is what happens.
So like you said, he thinks maybe that his just amulet is working. So the dog runs away out the door, doggy door.
Immediate.
Dog is gone. And then Shen is hiding up in like the doorway because the brother
Peter then
comes
is normal again.
He's like, how did I get home? He's like, oh cool, I'm already home. And then he's like hurting, like he's like, oh, my ribs, my arms, everything hurts. So that was kind of funny.
That's actually interesting because I think Yan Lo, when he owns the body, kind of raises up its strength ability. I mean, because they're flying all over the place doing flips and shit. So Peter's also very accomplished, I feel. This is his only fight scene in the movie, but like both of them, him and Shen, are like awesome.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
But that is, he might have some broken ribs or some shit.
He was hurting.
So the next day, Wendy goes to school, or is about to go to school. Mom's going off to the museum. Everybody in the family's going their separate ways. Shen sneaks inside because I think he actually like accidentally dropped the amulet when he needed to hide from Peter or something. So he goes and like tries to find it, but then Grandma shows up and says, speaking in Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever, that, I know who you are. Wendy's the reincarnated warrior or whatever.
Is Wendy the warrior? And he's like, yes, Wendy. And then she just freaks out. She's excited.
Well, yeah, she's excited.
Yeah.
She's like, hell
She's
yeah, I
happy
want
about
my granddaughter to be destined to fight evil. She's not worried or anything. So Wendy's getting picked up by her friends to go to school. And Shen is trying to, again, he actually, calls out to her, hey, wear this amulet. And Wendy's like, fucking drive, go.
Off. They got a cool old car, though. You want to mention the fun New Zealand fact?
Yeah, just this movie was filmed in New Zealand for some reason. I guess maybe tax stuff. I don't know. You know how some movies, like, a lot of stuff gets filmed in Atlanta or like Canada, just because it's cheaper to film there.
There was that fun car scene, though, you'd mentioned earlier in the movie, where they're on the wrong side of the road. But
in the background of when Shen's trying to hitchhike, you can see in the background on a highway that they're driving on the wrong side of the road for it to be in America.
Yes, California. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was cool.
So, Shen, we've established he has super speed. How could he catch up to Wendy in this car? He steals the kid's scooter. And he catches up to the car.
It was Powerized, but it's not. I don't think it's a Powerized
this was back
scooter.
In like the Razor heydays. Yes. You gotta self-propel those things. Wearing a helmet, though, from China, from a Buddhist monastery, he's selling those helmet safety while on a scooter.
Disney's always been really good about that, too,
that's why I bring it up, that they always wear helmets, even when it's like, this character probably wouldn't wear a helmet. So he catches up to them on the scooter. He's grabbing onto like the fender and saying, hey, wear this amulet. You're going to fight evil. And I think they slam on the brakes or they shake him off and he does a big flip as he crashes.
Like a hedge or something. Yeah.
And I'm like, right after we had that awesome fight scene, now we're having really dumb, goofy Disney Channel stuff. And
naturally,
it is more evident about what this movie really was going to be than I kind of wanted.
We thought we were signing up for some great action
I honestly didn't know what I was really signing up for, but then I got excited.
Yes.
But I should have known better. Wendy apparently is on the soccer team, also with Jessica, and they have a soccer practice where I think Jessica steals the ball from Wendy and scores, so Wendy's all pissed off. Then Jessica gets randomly subbed into the goalie role. So then Wendy gets the ball and she does some crazy Shaolin soccer stuff.
She calls it a
bicycle kick, but
she's not. She's like
she more jumps up in the air and does like a 720 or
Dude, that was nutty.
720 would be 2 full rotations. And then kicks the ball and it hits Jessica, knocks her, cartoon style all the way into the back of the goal.
Yeah.
And I think probably knocks the wind out of her. That's something I think about, or I had been thinking about recently. Do you remember getting the wind knocked out of you?
Maybe.
You never did? I feel like I had it happen like a few times as a kid, and it was like, holy shit. Fucked up, horrible feeling.
Am I dying?
And maybe it's, I don't know if it's like a physiological thing that like maybe kids' bodies happen in a way that like, if they fall out of a tree, they get the wind knocked out of them. But if you're an adult, I don't know, you just
break your bones.
You break your tailbone or something. But I feel like if I get the wind knocked out of me now, I probably would have a heart attack or something and die for real.
That's fair.
But Jessica, she's still young, so she is not dead in this moment.
No.
But she's kind of annoyed with Wendy. Remember Cookie, the dog who's possessed by the evil spirit of Yan Lo?
Yes.
She just shows up to the school and I think maybe goes to the principal's office and possesses him.
And then runs away and we never see it ever again.
Don't know if we ever do.
No, we definitely don't. I thought it was dead.
Because Jacob's like, is the dog dead? And I'm like, well, I guess it somehow has to get back home. So yeah, it's probably dead. And it's already been established by the mom where she says, hey, Wendy, your dog's only living because your brother is so messy at dinner that he knocks food off of his off of his plate. So Wendy is the only one who feeds this dog. She doesn't even care about this dog. So yeah, this dog 100% is forgotten and dead.
It's dead.
It's dead. It's Quint.
That's what I was thinking.
So Wendy, after she had that crazy kick in soccer practice, is again a little freaked out about these weird powers that she's manifesting. It's not established that it only occurs because she's 16 or anything. Presumably, she'd have to be like 17 or 18 if she's homecoming queen, because that's usually a a senior in high school thing.
Correct.
So it's not quite Halloween Town, but with Kung Fu warriors. Shen comes up to her because he was watching soccer practice like a creeper. And he says, hey, it's because you're a reincarnated warrior. Also, I'm a reincarnated warrior, and I'm destined to always find your reincarnated warrior and help them fight in the battle against Yan Lo.
We should mate.
This happens every 90 years for 1,000 years.
Yes.
Do the math. I don't know if it fully adds up. Wendy is kind of, I don't know. But then Shen pulls out the scroll with like the photorealistic drawing of Wendy. Actually, no. This is the more ancient style drawing of the traditional warrior. And Wendy's like, I guess she does kind of look like me. So... Also, why do you have a ponytail? Aren't you supposed to be bald?
What happens if Wendy lives past the age of 90?
I don't know.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll find out in my fan fiction.
Oh.
But then we get established that Shen, who does have a nice ponytail, was allowed to not have a shaved head in the Buddhist temple because...
he wanted to fit in with the Western world.
When he was destined to find Wendy. And she's like, okay... You probably could have just not even explained why he wasn't bald. And sure, in the future, somebody on IMDb would say that's a goof or something. But really, who cares?
But they established it. Sometimes they're good at that. The most meaningless of things.
So Wendy's starting to feel a little cooler with Shen. So she tries to cover for her friends who are inevitably going to be like, hey, who is this weird guy in this robe?
My cousin.
He's my cousin.
From China.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
And even
but then she's also secretly worried that like Jessica's gonna find out about him and try to use him to beat me for homecoming.
But Jessica already knows about it.
She
somehow.
does. So Shen, even though she's kind of cool with him, he's still following around her at school, and she's kind of a little annoyed with that. We see in the background he's stopping the principal from getting at her, and then the principal switches bodies with another teacher who then eventually switches bodies with the garbage guy or the janitor at school.
He was like 6 or 7 different
it seemed to have just been that anytime somebody bumped into him, then he just body swapped with them, which I didn't really understand the utility of that.
He was the principal, and then he bumped into the teacher in the parking lot, and then the parking lot teacher bumped into the custodian.
Something like that.
Yeah, and then I don't know who the custodian bumped into, though.
And the most illustrative moment of this movie to be like, it did have a really couple cool fight scenes, but it's still a Disney Channel original movie because we find out, oh no, Wendy's failing or close to failing world history so that she can't run for homecoming queen.
The big game.
We don't get some of the big game stuff quite yet. And we do get that too.
That aspect, though, I'm failing, I have bad grades, was such a small part of the...
In every movie, it always is a small part.
It was it literally took up a minute.
So in this sense, she's failing world history.
Yeah.
Well, great. The midterm's going to be about Chinese history. Yes. Well, how can I learn about Chinese history?
Very convenient for you, Wendy.
And Shen says,
I know everything.
Talk to Peter.
I lived it.
But he says, hey, I'll crack a deal with you, which doesn't really seem that fair to Wendy. But he says, you have to wear the amulet. You also have to train Kung Fu with me. And then I'll teach you Chinese history.
Yes, but she agrees, and it works.
And we get a very goofy training montage.
Yeah, very fun training montage.
The score here, I believe, is a Brenda Song song.
Oh.
Maybe that's why they forced her to sing in this song that wasn't very good. But she's talking on the cell phone and, I don't know, walking like an Egyptian at one point. She's just, wow, maybe when you watch the movie.
Oh I mean, maybe when you watch the movie.
Jacob's like, these NFTs aren't going to buy themselves. She just, she learns. And then I think it basically cuts to, I passed. Oh, actually... Then it comes down to, are you going to teach me Chinese history? And he says, no, it's inside of you.
Wendy Wu.
It's always there. So then she starts to meditate, and we cut to multiple different places of her going, and meditating.
She does it a lot. Everywhere, in classrooms and everywhere she's doing. People are staring at her all goofy. You would think she'd be...
On her desk in the classroom before her midterm.
Yes. You would think, she'd be self-conscious. People are going to think I'm goofy. But she does it. And it works. She gets an A
She gets an A.
She gets an A, and then it's over.
And it's one of those classes where your midterm is like at least 30% of your grade for the semester. So, well, that's all solved within 5 minutes.
Yep, she's good.
So it had a little more of a purpose than in some other movies where it's like, oh, we just need to kill like 5 minutes, just have them fail a class or whatever. But you could have come up with a more elegant way to get her to train with Shen than just, I'm failing Chinese history class.
But yeah, she's got the amulet back on. She's got a few new skills.
So, definite eye roll here.
We don't have to worry about her failing for Homecoming Queen, so she's good.
So that night, Grandma, I think, just tells her about, hey, yeah, I do know about you being the reincarnated female warrior.
Was... Right? She said my mother...
That sounds right.
Her mother or grandmother was also a warrior.
So she's like, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And then Shen just appears, and she's like, yeah, I've talked to him. And then he stays for supper.
Yeah, and then like the mom and dad are like, who the hell is this? She's like, oh, it's our cousin from far away.
Yeah, and it becomes a very... stranger comes to town, changes people's lives, because within this single meal,
the mom was digging him.
Everybody, because the mom... who, does seem a little too keen on Shen.
She's got a thing for his...
He's talking about, oh, do you have the terracotta soldiers at your museum? And she's like, yeah, I do, but I don't know anything about them. And he says, I can tell you. And then Peter is like, I like the pigskin game. Oh, American football. I could help you. What? You're crazy.
The Dallas Cowboys?
This move is called monkey jumps over wall. That looked crazy. I'm going to try it out, dog.
The touchdown.
And then the dad actually...
What was the dad? Did the dad need anything? Want anything?
Well, so the dad doesn't immediately get something here, but then Shen had made mooncakes for dessert, which look like little Debbie snack cakes or something. These zebra cakes are passed down through Chinese heritage.
From my great aunt Debbie.
Nutter butter. But then the dad seems to be so upset about seeing these mooncakes. What could that be about?
Yeah, they're triggered.
Well, we'll find out a little bit later. Yeah. But first, we get a very weird ending scene to this whole thing where Shen is eating, presumably, Cheetos, Doritos.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, these are so good, but how do you get the orange off of your fingers? And Peter says, you gotta suck them.
Suck them.
And then Shen sucks off his fingers, and then they both go, oh, yeah, that's so good. I'm like, what? And then Peter tries to do the move that Shen has showed him, and hard crashes into a dresser.
Backer his head on like the dresser.
So like
that was so
a good
silly.
Stunt there for him to just wipe out like that.
When did Shen do the trick in front of him?
At dinner.
Oh, okay.
I maybe glossed over.
Did he go over to the table, the kitchen table?
No, he was just like on the side of the table. And as far as stuff he's done in this movie, it was just kind of like
I remember it.
He maybe did like a kind of cartwheel or something. So I guess
they're just showing off at this point. They're like, we can do these things. We need to do them as much as we can.
Yeah. And then, again, this movie is really not the movie I was kind of hoping it was, but this was still kind of fun. That Wendy takes Shen to the mall because he can't wear those robes all the time. Great so we get a nice dress-up montage.
We've missed these.
Both wardrobe and multiple kinds of hats being tried
on. A lot of hats. And glasses even. And scarves. Everything.
Lots of stuff. He wears a couple different fedoras, so seemingly Wendy was okay with at least the idea of the fedoras.
Yeah.
Ultimately, his outfit he ends up with, though, has no hat.
No hat.
So a little disappointing.
Yeah, he gets rid of his ponytail, though.
Yeah, well, he just kind of unties it.
Yeah.
And then it looks a lot more like
the
Peter.
Brother. You can't tell.
So this is, I think, all happening in a single night because they snuck out, I guess, to go shopping.
Yeah.
And they had like an hour to do it before the mall closes. But it only is clear that it happened in the same night because that night the mom comes down and sees dad eating his mooncake, which he had refused to eat earlier. And then again, we get like the kind of forced serious theme where the dad says, I feel so bad. I left all this Chinese heritage behind, but I want us to be good Chinese Americans and bring our heritage with us and don't let the past be forgotten.
So he was feeling guilty. He's like, I don't deserve this amazing mooncake, moon pie.
Yeah, okay, Wendy Wu, homecoming warrior.
I see you. It's not that deep, Daddy. Papa, it's not that deep.
I mean, I think that's like a cool theme to have happen.
Yeah.
Like to be, brought up in movies. And I guess I haven't seen like Crazy Rich Asians or The Farewell. They're on my to watch list.
Okay.
But I think that's an interesting dynamic that probably comes up in a lot of of any kind of immigrant to America kind of culture.
Yeah.
And Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior has that as like the D plot in the movie. So that's mainly my issue with that. At school, we start to get some, hey, remember Austin? Well, we're getting some boyfriend troubles.
Dunstan.
Not Dunstan.
Austin.
Austin suddenly seems to be very self-absorbed and like a total jerk.
Yeah,
where before he just
really
seemed like an idiot.
It was weird. It's a weird character change for him. He does like his different hair. He's like, "You see my hair?
I got highlights in my hair." The joke is
hair.
that he's got blonde hair. And he's like, hey, Wendy, you shouldn't be worried about your cousin too much. He's going to make us look bad for homecoming king and queen.
It's really weird.
But then he comes in and it's
strange.
She's like, well, I can't dislike him because check out his sick makeover.
Hey.
And everybody in the hall is like, oh my fucking God.
Is this like when she like dumps him?
Not quite.
Okay.
It's basically the scene
Pretty
that needs
much.
to happen for the dump scene to make any sort of sense. Because they can't just have him go full asshole right away.
No.
This is like his transition scene of becoming an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah, he's too cool. I can't stay away from my cousin. So that seed is kind of planted here. That night, Wendy's telling Shen about how super cool he is and we're totally gonna win the homecoming thing. What? You've never had chocolate? Here, have chocolate. And then he's very serious. And I think this is here where he says, like, the world will end if Yan Lo, whatever. But then Wendy has a very funny moment, or it was more Shen's reaction, where she's like, do you have any girlfriends? And he's like, oh, you've never had a girlfriend?
Anybody got time for that?
And Shen's like, what is love?
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is it from something, but it just makes me think of like the joke of like robot or alien being like, what is kiss?
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird like that.
And then it's like, oh, some kissing cousins coming up in their future, maybe?
That.
Not actual cousins.
Not actual cousins, yes. Unrelated.
And then he says, but you got a boyfriend. Isn't it Austin? Yeah. What? Do you not like him? Not really. Then why are you dating him? Because everybody else says we look great together. Yeah. So Wendy in this situation is similar to Austin, where they're both very self-absorbed and worried about their own images. And that's why they're maybe the perfect pair for each other. I ship Austin and Wendy.
Icky pooey.
Then he lets drop that he will need to sacrifice himself in the final battle against Yan Lo, because that is how
he's died.
It's destined to be.
The last millennium, he's died every time because they haven't.
So that's why he doesn't care about kissing girls, because while you were out kissing girls, I was training with the sword. Then they go to some random party. Shen is there with her, and they actually come together, but they still have to be under the guise that they're cousins, even though they're very clearly starting, or at least Wendy's starting to have some feelings to him. So then I think the host of the party, maybe, who's a girl, comes up and asks Shen for a dance. And then Wendy's like, sure, go ahead. And then there's some kind of bootleg Black Eyed Peas song playing, and he's dancing with this girl. And then she says, just be yourself. So then he starts doing some weird combo kung fu breakdancing moves, and everybody's losing their goddamn minds.
I love it. We love our dance scenes in DCOMs.
Yes, always. And at this moment, I think he finishes, and then I finish. He finishes the dance, or the song finishes. Everybody's clapping. He gets a kiss from that girl on his cheek. So,
and Wendy is mad jealous.
Yes,
she is very jealous.
And I think at least somewhere in this mix is when Austin shows up and it says, hey, bitch, I thought we were supposed to show up together. Well, we didn't. I came with Shen. Well, that's going to hurt our fucking campaign. And then she's like, you suck. I want to break up with you.
And she runs away and cries.
Don't you know I'm Austin? And then we forget who Austin is, because I don't think he's ever in the movie after irrelevant.
Mister. So yeah, she goes out to the pool and cries. She takes off the amulet during her little fit. And
because she's so mad at Shen, because he got kissed on the cheek. So throws the amulet
into the chip I don't know, the chip bowl.
Is that where it landed?
Yes, somebody later picks it up and like, this is a weird ship. And that's when Shen's like, what's up with it?
That's pretty funny. You know, sometimes they're just so big and they look like ancient Chinese medallions.
Yes. So like he like dives over across the table and then he like runs across the pool.
Kind of glossed over the part where at some point one of Wendy's friends, I think maybe Tori, became possessed by Yan Lo. Yes. I don't think it was shown, but if it was, I just missed it.
I don't.
And then she's coming over with the orb, but then Shen hears about the medallion, grabs that.
Yes.
Clears the whole pool to kick the orb out. I kind of feel bad for Yan Lo at this point. He's kind of getting his balls busted by Shen all the fucking time. The ball lands in the pool. Wendy sweeps the leg. Her friend flies up so far in the air
into the pool
to land in the pool.
And the pool's bubbling. And is it
because of the magic of the
Peter's
the orb.
Like, it's the biggest hot tub ever.
It's so big.
Everybody starts jumping in
fully
with their clothes on.
Yes.
Everybody's in the pool.
And within this chaos, Jessica is there and she's taking a picture of the friend in the pool.
This is pretty kind of...
And then Jessica gets possessed by Yan Lo.
Through the camera.
And while we were watching that, and Jacob's like, oh, is that her friend or her rival who he couldn't... All the other non-Wendy girls kind of look the same. So Jacob was like, oh, is that her rival? And I'm like, no, but that would be pretty cool. But then we actually do get that.
So her.
Points in Wendy Wu Homecoming Warriors' favor that we do get a showdown between the homecoming rivals.
That was
quite spectacular fashion.
That. And then they leave the party, I think here.
Yeah, they just leave. And then it's like, well, clearly we need to train more. So they had shown in one other scene that...
and she does not know it's Jessica yet that got possessed.
I don't think so. But we had seen in one other scene that Shen had these 4 figurines. A tiger, a leopard...
Swan.
A snake, and a crane.
A crane.
Yes, the famous swan. Chinese swans.
Swan.
The majestic Chinese swan. And I guess within each of these figurines, he also has a dragon tattoo that manifests on his arm to be magic. So I don't know if that's implying that he's the dragon. That's really not clear. And never explained.
Jake Long.
But all of these figures are old monks trapped inside of them.
And we only see one of the old people, right?
I mean, do you think they can afford 4 old Chinese men?
We see one old person who I think was the crane. No.
I think he's the snake. Yes. And then Wendy's like, I'm not going to learn from this geezer.
I'm not going to fight from an old man. Or she was worried that other people think she's beating up an old dude.
Oh, okay. So she's fine with learning that it's okay for her to beat up her soccer coach. Because Shen, in a really crazy twist, reveals that he also has the power to allow others to possess bodies. Because between 4 different people who are all either her coaches or teachers, he brings these figurines, mutters some incantation, and then the old monks possess these people's bodies.
So there's the soccer coach, right? The principal.
I don't know. It was just like, it was a teacher we hadn't even seen before.
Oh, one of them was.
And then it was the history teacher. And then, who was the 4th person?
I thought it was the principal.
Oh, then it was a different teacher who I think we had seen in like one scene.
Okay.
Where he like got, I think that was maybe the guy who bumped into, I don't know.
None of these characters are important. They really don't. They don't matter.
But then this is where we get the murky rules with body possession, because all of these people can talk through their host bodies and use their host bodies' voices, where Yan Lo hasn't been talking through anybody's bodies. Spoiler alert, he talks through Jessica's body, but then he's got
Jessica's body.
He's got...
That's a movie.
No, it's Jennifer's body.
Jennifer's body, dang it.
He's got weird evil voice the whole time. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So we're getting training montage again. She's learning the ropes from all these different people. And it all culminates in this final... they all have, maybe, I don't know if they're technically bow staves, but a big stick fight.
Yeah.
Where they're all ganging up on Wendy Wu. There you go, Jacob.
Nice drop. I appreciate that.
And this scene first started out a little shaky, especially compared to other fight scenes in the movie, where they're more elaborate. There's more long takes. There's wire work and everything, where this was like, oh, yep, it's clear that, at least in this scene, Brenda Song is doing all of these stunts. Later scenes, she's definitely not. And there's lots of quick cuts and close-ups where you're not really seeing a good full picture of the action.
The dust is still relevant.
Still very dusty in the park that they're practicing at.
Yeah.
It does kind of build up more where she's kind of walking on top of the sticks as people are swinging them at her.
Yeah.
She does kind of like Neo in The Matrix Reloaded, where she plants her stick on the ground and then kind of spins around it to kick them. Some fun stuff. Yeah. Nothing as notable as the house fight scene earlier.
And I feel like even the house fight scene, it was just shot differently too. Just the cinema.
Like I said, it was like further out so you could see everything that's happening. Yeah. And that was definitely needed with the wire work that they were doing. So I guess she thinks since she trained successfully with all the monks that then she can get rid of her amulet. Which then I think she maybe throws away, but then was it her grandma who was also at the park that picked it up? I guess I don't know if the amulet ever comes back.
No, I don't know.
But if the amulet was just supposed to be a protection thing, I don't know why she would need to get rid of it, even if she can physically protect herself now.
Yeah, no, she gives the amulet, because she just beats all their butts. She's like, you're going to need this more than me or something like that. Yeah. So she throws it to the old people.
And this movie, it's called, we've gotten a lot of the warrior now, but what about the homecoming? Well, clearly the best way to learn about who's going to win Homecoming Queen is for Wendy to just get a phone call from her friends who are on the committee and say, hey, you're going to be Homecoming Queen. Ooh. Which I guess with how the movie plays out makes sense because we don't actually ever go to Homecoming. So there's not a climactic, oh, will she win? Won't she win? So I guess this creates that she is making a sacrifice because, well, obviously the thing she's wanted so much in the world is to win Homecoming. Yeah. So that night she's getting ready to go to the dance, the football game, whatever. And her grandma comes in and gives her her dress, this warrior dress or whatever. And she's like, nah, Grams, actually, I shouldn't skip over the scene before this where Shen basically lets loose that the fight needs to happen during the autumn moon or whatever, which of course happens to coincide
with the big game.
The big game, of course, it has to be the same night as Homecoming. Yeah. So then Wendy gets mad at Shen because he lied to her, or should have told her that it was always going to be on Homecoming night.
Because he knew.
Which I don't even know if it was really set up that it had to be at a single moment. No. I thought it was just that, I thought it was kind of a Buffy the Vampire situation where Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where in every generation Wendy Wu is born or whatever. But no, I guess it has to, of course, conflict with this. But then Wendy, she's getting this dress from her grandma and says, no, the only thing I've ever wanted is to be Homecoming Queen. Nobody asked me if I wanted to be a homecoming warrior. Fuck off, Grandma. Yeah. So she's going to leave. As she's getting ready, also, evil Jessica literally teleports in front of the museum, turns the sky black, and starts to yell in evil voice. Yeah. Then she does her best Alucard from Castlevania and turns into a poison cloud to sneak inside of the museum, because she can't just teleport inside the museum either. And then she starts to awaken
the terracotta soldiers.
And then
wakes all
the security guard is like, shit, what's going on there? Got my pepper spray, though. He doesn't even have, like, mace. He just has, like, basic pepper spray.
It's tiny. It's not even like it's like a 2 inches tall.
But he sees these terracotta soldiers coming to life. They're doing these choreographed spear hits around
the noises. The noises they were making as they were waking up is like...
Lots of popping and...
It was a lot of ASMR, like
sure.
A lot of ASMR noises coming out of those guys.
But the security guard gets scared and leaves. And he still had one piece of pizza at his desk.
What's cool, I appreciated the terracotta soldiers. Like, they could have easily, maybe not easily, but they could have had them, like...
They could have looked a lot more...
Like, animated.
They could have looked a lot more like stock characters or fighters from... the Power Rangers or something, but they had pretty good costumes.
They were really cool.
The whatever helmets or faces they had on,
like clay. It looked like legit.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't really clear that there's eye holes here for them or anything.
No, I thought they were really good outfits, costumes.
There's shining moments in this movie.
Yeah.
So Wendy is going to go to Homecoming. She's about to leave. Oh, that must be my friends at the door. But no, it is still all the possessed teachers and coaches who are still the monks.
And she's in her big pink dress now, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And she's like...
Oh, she's about to leave, and then they're like, Shin needs your help. And she's like, oh, some other time, I got this to do. And they're like, he's dying tonight kind of thing, right?
Or like it has to be tonight, or I don't really know.
I think they were saying that he's doing it like by himself. Like he's taking them all on. And then she's
I'm getting the timeline a little mixed up. So we have already seen Shin show up to the museum by himself. He's starting to fight all of the soldiers. And since he's the only person in this scene, it's very cool. So he's doing lots of cool shit.
Cool tricks.
Flippity-doos and getting smacked around.
Again, not as great as the
exploding
house
boxes,
scene.
I think.
Yes, we did see some. This is where the exploding boxes come into play for literally no reason. I still don't understand. It's supposed to look cool.
But it doesn't really look that cool.
Like, just crates, when like the dudes, the little terracotta soldiers would land into crates, they would just explode.
So Shen kind of gets beat up. I don't know if he fights Jessica or not. Or, sorry, Yan-Lo Jessica.
Yan-Lo Jessica.
She's talking in her weird, evil voice.
Yes, I'm Jessica.
She didn't sound
like
that.
Make it finger licking.
She sounded more like, pizza. I don't know, Shao Kahn at the end of the first Mortal Kombat movie or something. But then there's a fun moment where Wendy shows up with all of the coaches, and she says, well, if I knew it was Jessica, I would have come no matter what.
I would have came a lot sooner.
So I like that moment and this setup where we are getting the two popular girls who are feuding over Homecoming coming to this moment where they're going to have an actual kung fu fight.
Yeah, we do appreciate that.
And the other teachers / monks are getting involved, and this scene is actually pretty fun, even though it's involving lots of people who aren't, martial artists.
Yeah.
Definite stunt actors involved for the teachers, but also pretty confident for Wendy and Jessica. There's some stunt actors
like throughout,
filling in.
We'd mentioned before, like the workout scenes, or when they were practicing, and like even this fight, it's fun seeing like the old people like just doing goofy stuff.
That grandma, she was rapping. Grandmas don't do that. That shit was crazy. Actually, surprisingly, there was a moment coming up where it really seemed like the grandma was going
to fight.
Yes. Well, actually, it's here.
Yeah.
Where
she presents.
They're seeming to be a little against the wall. Wendy's like, shit. But then Grandma shows up, and I thought we were going to get a rapping karate granny moment.
That would have been good.
But she's just there with the dress and says, here, take this. And I guess Jessica was nice enough to let her just fully change.
Yeah, from pink to the
it's warrior. More, traditional Chinese dress.
Yeah.
I saw some people say it was like Chun-Li but I mean, it's just a Chinese dress. And
Chun-Li, you mean Nicki Minaj?
Yeah, that weird song where Nicki Minaj apparently thinks Chun-Li is the villain of Street Fighter. I don't even play those games, and I know it's Bison. Come on, Nicki.
Figure it out.
She's like, my cousin's friend's wife. Cousin was playing Street Fighter and his balls got huge. That's topical humor, right? So then the tides start to be turned more. The soldiers decide to just start randomly exploding because they've been beat up enough.
Yes, they're not just falling into fireworks and going crackle. Like they're like
it's not like they're being hit with a hammer or anything. There's nothing.
It's weird
to cause them to explode.
They look at like kicked back and stuff. Like in the fighting, look at like kicked down, and then they just lay there, and then they blow up.
It's even like weird. They'll lay there, they'll cut away to somebody else. And then they'll just cut back to him, and then they just explode. It's very much as if it's a video game minion type where once their health is depleted, that then they explode afterwards. So you got to dodge them, but it's just like they're just exploding for no reason.
That was goofy.
So then Wendy's beating up on Jessica. She's kind of at this point showing off all of her different crane and snake and leopard moves. So that was kind of a cool progression to show that she had learned stuff from those montages. And she finishes off Jessica with some kind of glowy light Hadoken or Kamehameha, and then Jessica flies away, and we see the spirit of Yan-Lo come out of her and then disappear.
Rip.
So, did we win? Jessica wakes up, is a little confused. It seems a little sad that she's not at homecoming.
Yeah.
And then Wendy says, hey, go there.
I've learned a lot, I've become smarter and
But Jessica knows that Wendy was supposed to be homecoming queen.
She does know.
So she's like, but aren't you the winner? And she says, you better go so you can win because I'm the bigger person
How
now.
did she know that she won, though? Because she was possessed during that time. It doesn't add up, Lucas. She was possessed at the pool.
Yeah.
And she did not know yet. So
I don't know. Yan Lo was also pretty involved. That's actually the secret here, is he just shows up every 90 years to make sure that the reincarnated warrior princess can't win homecoming.
Makes sense.
That's his real plan.
Makes sense.
So she runs off, and then Granny's all like, hey, come over to... I like how she says, come over to my place. We're going to have... Because I think the coaches maybe lose the monks in them or something.
Okay.
Or maybe... I don't know if that quite happens. No, it doesn't. But she's like, we got mooncakes at my place.
Yes.
But then, what's this? The terracotta broken pieces are rumbling.
It's...
The spirit is swirling.
Dude,
they all coalesce into Yan Lo is back in his true form for the first time ever. He is in person. It's a fake out. That was actually, if I wasn't doing this for this podcast and was just like, oh, it's a fun twist. But for me, I'm like, oh man, the movie's not fucking over. You're killing me.
I thought it was going to become like a massive thing.
Yeah.
And they make it look like it at first, but then
in some shots they kind of try to do wrestling camera views to make everybody seem giant compared to everybody else, but he's almost the same size as Brenda Song and Shen or whatever. So the coaches are all trying to beat up on him. They all get completely wrecked. Shen and Wendy are struggling a little bit. They get beat up. They're kind of dispersed. Shen's about to die. And he's like, I have to do this. And Yan Lo's like, haha, I'm going to kill him. But then he does kill him. But then Wendy kind of goes like Super Saiyan level 2 form to do her Doken again to knock Yan Lo away. But he's not dead yet.
No.
And this part's crazier than maybe I've really taken in. But then Wendy goes over. And Shen has died, but then she...
saves him.
Brings him back to life. No big deal. NBD.
No
Baby Yoda does it. Rey does it in episode 9. It's totally cool. Shen is revived, and then they do a choreographed, synchronized kick, big flying kick to Yan Lo. And then that...
the rear end.
Sure.
No.
They kill him for realsies this time.
Yeah.
She has changed destiny by saving Shen, so this also means that Yan Lo is permanently dead now, because destiny's changed. So now the prophecy is not... it doesn't matter.
It can't happen. So, and then it gets all like mushy and stuff, you know. And
the monks, before I think they leave the bodies of the coaches, are like, well, now Shen,
YOLO.
You will learn what a normal life is.
One life. You have one life to live.
They say, YOLO, Shen. You only got one life. You only live once now.
And then he said to them, what is love?
What
Baby, don't hurt me.
What is kiss?
Don't hurt me no more.
Well, he might find out because Granny says, all right, guys, let's go get those mooncakes.
Ooh.
And then Wendy and Shen are about to leave, and she says, how about we go over this way?
Get some poon cakes.
Which is away from the exit. And they just walk off, presumably to kiss.
Oh, and other things.
And that is the end of Wendy Wu Homecoming Warriors. So no homecoming is seen at all.
No homecoming ever. No big game. This was the big game.
Which in a way, it's like, I love, I think it's been established here that I like high school drama stuff. I like the coming of age stories. But in this situation, you can't give me an awesome fight scene within the first half hour and then go so heavy and hard into the school stuff, which is what this did. But at the same time, they should have had the final fight be at homecoming, I think.
Oh, that would have been kind of cool.
Yan Lo shows up on the dance floor. People are freaking out. You've gotten lots of extras for Jacob.
Oh, I love my extras. That would have been actually cool. And I think if that house scene would have happened later on in the movie, I think it would have been better.
They blew their load a little early.
Yeah, like it set us up. It got us excited too. Like you said, it got us a little excited too early.
And then it felt like Shen was kicking us in the orbs a couple of times with how few fights there were after a while. But now, I'm thinking about that more. People see, oh my God, Jessica's fighting Wendy.
That would have been.
That would have had to have ended with Wendy winning Homecoming Queen because she saves the day.
Oh, true.
But then Wendy says, "Jessica, you're the real queen."
But like that's the thing though. Like outside of Wendy and like her family, like nobody else knows that there's supernatural stuff's going on, right?
Well, I don't even know of all of her family. It's just really just grandma.
It's just Grandma Wendy and Shen. That's it. So maybe it couldn't have been at the homecoming. It could have, but it couldn't have.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's a fucking
It would have
movie.
been fun.
Give us that, Disney Channel.
A fun movie.
I think you're maybe a little more positive on it than me, but
You didn't like it?
I'm just saying,
You
like,
don't hate it.
As far as like our more recent movies, I think I liked Cowbells and like High School Musical more than this.
Let's compare this movie to the movies we were getting when we first started watching DCOMs, though.
Well, I mean, Can of Worms was one of my favorite ones.
You can't just compare it to that one.
I mean, that was like the fifth one or something.
Yeah.
All right, this has been one of our longer episodes in a while, so before we get into our only segment, really, of Never Remember, of course, the episode that goes long is the one I've actually done some research for, but some quick little IMDb trivia factoids that I thought were kind of fun.
Okay.
So ironically, Tori and Lisa, Wendy's friends,
Yes.
who don't do any fighting at all in this movie, both went on, I think one of them was already on a Power Rangers show, but then another one went on to be on a different Power Rangers show.
What the heck?
But I mean, Power Rangers, a lot of that is taken from like Super Sentai in Japan, so they don't always have the American actors actually do the fight scenes anyways. That was just kind of a weird thing, especially reading that before I watched the movie. I just assumed they would have to fight, but
that would have been cool. But
let them fight. So this was apparently the 7th DCOM to be rated TV PG.
Everything else is G. Oh yeah.
So what would you guess would be one of the other rated?
Don't
PG?
Look Under the Bed.
Don't Look Under the Bed. Also, the first 2 Halloween Towns, not the third one though, even though that has like swords and stuff in it. Jet Jackson the movie, because I think that maybe
just fighting
from like the post-apocalyptic world maybe is a little scary. Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. And Twitches. I was
like how they're all Halloween movies. They're all like the spooky ones.
Hey, this is a little too scary. But also the other one that would have Tiger Cruise was also rated PG.
Stop.
I mean, 9/11. That's serious stuff.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
This had a pretty big premiere on Disney Channel, but apparently it is still the biggest DCOM premiere in history for Disney Channel Japan. So they were excited to see a kung fu movie over there.
Huh.
So Shin Koyamada, who plays Shen, or maybe Shin, and Justin Chan, who played Peter, are both supposed to be Chinese or Chinese Americans. But actually, Shin Koyamada, as you can maybe guess from his name, is Japanese. Oh. And then Peter, the brother, is Korean.
That's
so
funny.
That's a little kind of like, well, that's a little weird. But at the same time, it's probably like, well, how many like teenage martial artists do we have access to? So that was probably more of an influence there. And then apparently on the DVD for this movie, there's an alternate ending.
Alternate ending?
Where Yan Lo, I guess, goes back to possess Cupcake again, but none of the family notices.
The dog?
The dog. No. So this ending would have confirmed that Cupcake would have still been alive, but then possessed by Yan Lo again. Which seems weird that they couldn't have him possess the dog twice.
There would have to be a sequel. Is there a sequel to this?
Apparently there was some talk of a sequel, at least according to IMDb,
that's maybe why they had
but it got canceled.
So that's why they maybe did the dog again.
And this movie actually had a lot of trivia, so it must be a pretty popular
one. Oh, yeah.
Not High School Musical levels of trivia, but still a pretty good amount. And some of them were just rarely weirdly worded, so I picked this one just because I thought it sounded funny. At the beginning of the project, it was planned to hire Ryan Rowe, scriptwriter of Charlie's Angels of 2000, to write the screenplay for the film. However, due to creative and economic differences, he left the film. Creative and economic differences.
Yeah, they weren't paying him. Pay the man.
That's very naturally worded. Maybe, hey, maybe there's lots of like Chinese people that are big fans of Wendy Wu, so maybe somebody's like English as a second language writing the IMDb trivia. No hate there. All right, so quickly, Jacob, could Wendy Wu and maybe Shen, I think they're kind of an item, could they have stopped 9/11? Yeah, we're going to say yes.
Easily.
NBD, no big deal.
With a pinky finger. With a tube of lipstick that could have stopped it.
Yeah. Al-Qaeda, you don't have anything on Yan Lo, who we don't even really know what he is going to do to the world, but it couldn't have been good. All right. Get through the housekeeping stuff. Write us at awholenewpod@gmail.com for how excited you were about Wendy Wu not becoming the homecoming queen. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us on
YouTube,
Apple Podcasts. Find us
Spotify.
on various podcast platforms, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever have you. Find us on YouTube. Getting close to 300
Big
subscribers
300.
on there. Spread the word around.
Tell
build
your
up that
friends.
sub count.
Your sisters, your brothers, your mothers,
Like and comment.
your papas.
And I don't know if I should say this, but we got a comment recently on the jumping ship episode that the writer said it was a fun fact. Honestly, I did not find the fact that fun.
What is it?
I don't even remember.
Oh my god! What episode?
Well, now you have to go find that video
Easter egg
and look up that comment.
Easter egg.
With that, I believe Jacob, he was very excited and told me he had something prepared to close out this episode for, which I'm sure will leave everybody with a great taste in their mouth and a great sound in their ears. So, Jacob.
Wendy Wu, the coming warrior.
Oh, no.
It's like, I don't know what that was. Excuse me.
Okay, you need to get yourself under control.